Hi, I want to welcome you to Management 1 Introduction to Business. I'm Dr. David Bouguet. I'm going to be your instructor for this class, and we have a lot of really cool things happening. But before I dive into the specifics of the course, I want to kind of give you a background or flavor of where I'm coming from, and hopefully it'll be instrumental to giving you a good perspective on a broad spectrum of the aspects of business as a whole. First of all, I was a community college student. I have to tell you, when I first walked into the gymnasium, because we used to do things where people would go into one giant facility and you go from table to table registering and everything else. There's 30 different stations you had to go to. I walked in and I'm registering properly. And I got to the section where you choose your classes specifically. And here the counselors are arguing, and I kid you not, to this day, I remember it, they're arguing about which of 3 different pizza places they want to buy their pizza for lunch. And I'm standing there until finally I inwardly rolled my eyes because I was being respectful, and I just signed up for the first class for English. Well, obviously the first class is where you start, except I was in the wrong class. It was a pre-college class. And by the second week, I'm looking around thinking, I'm the smartest person in this class, and that's not a big deal because it's not hard. I was in pre-college, and in my generation, we had a lot of people that use things called drugs. Yes, a lot of them are already been fried properly and everything else. I'm seeing the teacher says in the third week, why are you in this class? I told them my story. Professor Rob Avery takes me out of the class, and he did one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. He gave me independent study. And by the time I was all done with that semester, he put me into a cubicle and I had to learn how to read quickly with high comprehension. My reading speed was over 990 words per minute with a 92% measured comprehension of what I was reading. It's fabulous. And I have to tell you, I use that gift every single day from Dr. Rob Avery. It's incredible. It's helped me my entire life. The other experience was a guy named Professor Tom Cook. To this day, we're still friends and communicate on a regular basis, but he pushed me harder than any teacher ever pushed me in my entire academic career, which really was high school at that point. And really, I learned how to study, and he showed me that I could be much better than I had been doing. And he really taught me the gift of applying myself to my academic studies. Those 2 professors, out of all the different degrees, all the different colleges and universities I've gone to, they provided the foundation for anything. And by far, they were the best teachers I ever had. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I have pretty big shoes to fill because I'm now a community college professor as well. Another thing that Dr. Rob Avery did is he insisted I take the Strong's Interest Inventory. Well, he found a counselor that really cared, and he sat down to set me up with this inventory, and it was a test. It's called Strong's Interest Inventory, and what it does, it takes your personal interest and applies those interests into the job market. Well, by the time it was all done, I had dreams. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an English major and go on to literature. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be a musicologist, a composer, the whole thing, all that stuff. And this test says I should be a CPA. Seriously, a CPA? How much more boring can you get, I thought? Or an attorney. Yeah, one of those people, no morals or ethics. Yeah. I got an MBA instead. We have 1 or 2 morals. I don't know what they are though. Anyway, or a chief human resource officer. I didn't even know what that was. But that being said, let me tell you how accurate it was. I've been a chief human resource officer, not just a little bit, for 17 years. I've been a chief business officer with a really strong financial background, and I had a budget of $811 million. I've handled all the legal affairs for 2 different community college districts. That was pretty accurate, wasn't it? Community college is a great launching point. And by the way, let me give you a compliment. You're here, and it shows that you've done something really smart. Number 1, you made a smart choice financially. Number 2, this is a small class size. I have to tell you, when I went to university, my very first class, I parked in the back of the room. I was one of 192 different students sitting there, and the instructor showed up about 5 times that whole semester. We got aides teaching the class as you go through. It was awful. The teacher never got to know me at all. In our class, if we're meeting face to face, I'm going to try to meet you on a regular basis and learn your name. Even online, I'm going to work at that as well. We're also a commuter school. People sit down, they can live at home and avoid that high cost of university housing as you go through. Let me tell you a story about our son as he went through. He went to really Saddleback College because he cut us a deal. Like all good parents, we saved the money appropriately, saved the big bank and for a 4-year degree to go away. He didn't really want that. He says, I'll tell you what, how about if I graduate in 4 years, whatever money is left over, you help me with my graduate degree. Well, he went to Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. He got the associate degree in 2 years. Now, by the way, if you're going to go full-time as a student, you should work for the same type of goal. Then he went to Concordia, locally over here in Irvine. He finished his bachelor's in 4 years. Then he went to Chapman. He finished his MBA in 2 more years. In 6 years, he graduated and he had $1,500 left in the bank. Not bad. He got an MBA debt-free. By the way, he met this gal and she also has a master's degree in accounting. And when she graduated from UCI, she was $91,000 in debt. They're still paying off her debt since they met, they got married, they have kids, and by the time they're all done, she's still paying off that debt. You have taken the smart move. You're going through a pathway that you can pretty much get out of Irvine Valley College debt-free if you play your cards right. That being said, I appreciate the smartness you've done as you go through. Here's my background. I'm an associate arts from Macomb Community College, Bachelor of Science from Business Administration from Wayne State, an MBA from Oakland University, and then a PhD in organizational behavior in a place in Ohio, of all things, called the Union Institute University. My first job when I got out of school, I was a store manager of a fabric store, of all things. Frankly, retail is phenomenal. I think you learn an awful lot because of the high stress and the hours. There's a really high turnover rate, and you can advance very quickly to high positions in the process. I thought it was a good experience. I went from sitting as a college student to working 55 to 60 hours a week. I had to make decision. I had to make 10 to 12 decisions every single hour. Every single decision I made with the customer that could have damaged me, that customer could have called the president of the company. One did, by the way, as we went through and the whole process. So that being said, you have to make clear decisions and learn how to communicate very well. Great experience. From there, I have a knack for organizing things. I was asked at our church to go through and become a principal of a K-12 school. It was a great experience. I loved it. The pay was awful, no pension plan. It was so much fun, though, in the process. The school was doing fine. The church got in trouble financially. They sold the building, and I had to go find what I consider a real job. I became general manager of a giant housing corporation called Kramer Homes Housing Cooperative. It's so big, we actually own the housing, 17% of all the housing in the city of Centerline, Michigan. It's incredible how big it was. I learned a lot about human communication and how to get people to get along. From there, I went on to the K-12 district. I became a facilities manager, transportation manager at Fitzgerald Public Schools. And from there, I became the business officer for the Oakland Community College Auburn Hughes campus as you went through. There, I went through and got a change of jobs. Surprisingly, I was pulled out to learn how to reorganize the college, and I got rid of my old job. This will surprise you, though, in the process. Since I was part of the re-engineering, I created a new job with more money and also more responsibility called Director of Operations. And amazingly, I fit the qualifications, and I got it. From there, one winter, we're out there, I'm scraping the ice and snow off my windshield. My knuckles are bleeding from the ice, and we said, I had enough. So we went on a conference. My wife went, and she took me with her in a place called Palm Desert. And she said, why'd you go find a job? So I went down to the college. I got a catalog. I watched the website for 2 years, and I applied for a job I wasn't qualified for called Vice President of Human Resources. And I got the job. Anyway, so that being said, that launched my career in human resources. I had lots of experience in negotiations that probably was foundational. And then from there, I came here to South Orange, which is Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College, and became Vice Chancellor of Human Resources. After 9 years, I decided to ask the board, I want to be a professor of business. And that's how you got me as you go through. Just for fun, I've authored 4 books, lots of articles in different magazines. Probably my most significant work is called Backboneology, Tough Decisions at Work. A couple poem books, one called Naked Turtle Dances, Zombie Durus, Poems for Young Zombies, and also Vietnamese American Pride. By the way, you'll notice I'm probably not Vietnamese. So that being said, I enjoyed the bicultural book. I also have written a play. My first musical comedy was called Zombie Dearest. It premiered over at IBC in 2018. And I've written several different screenplays and actually a novel in the process right now of going to publish as you go through. That being said, if you want to go through, here's my email address. You'll be contacting me sometime. My phone, there's a phone number. If we ever meet face-to-face, it's going to be in BizTech 202G. And I'm always online as you go through on these 2 dates as you go through. So that being said, we're going to talk more about the course of details in our next presentation. In the meantime, take care.